Hello everyone, I'm Andrea, also known as Miss Fackelman, and today we are going to create shaded three-dimensional donuts inspired by Wayne Thiebaud's artwork. Let's take a look at some of his paintings of sweet treats. A constant element in Wayne Thiebaud's artwork is value. Value in art is capturing how light affects an object. In this example image of a shaded sphere, the light source, or the direction from which the light is coming from, is somewhere outside the paper toward the top right-hand corner. The core shadow is the darkest area on the sphere, and that's usually facing away from the light. The highlight is the brightest spot on a shaded sphere where the light is being reflected. The midtones on the sphere are the areas between the darkest shadow and the highlight. And then the cast shadow is seen on the surface where the object is sitting and is a distorted image of the outline of the object in the picture. Value is one of the strongest elements in Wayne Thiebaud's artwork. It makes his paintings of cakes and cupcakes and donuts and milkshakes, along with other sweet treats, look more realistic and three-dimensional. So for this video, we are going to learn how to draw donuts that are shaded, making them look more three-dimensional. So grab a piece of paper, grab a pencil. If you want to use any coloring supplies to add some color to your pictures, go ahead and fetch those, and let's get started. While I am demonstrating how to draw donuts, I'm not going to use any color in this video. However, that does not mean that you cannot use color at home. I'm just going to be using my pencil to show those students who are at home and don't want to use any colored supplies that it's okay. You can add a lot of great detail and create a wonderful picture even if you just use your pencils. The first thing we're going to do is draw the horizon line. In this picture, the horizon line is going to separate the table from the wallpaper in the background. What we're going to do is go higher up, not halfway up the paper, more like 3/4 up the paper. Now draw a straight line. If you want to use a ruler for this, you absolutely can. Now we are going to draw the donuts that are closest to the foreground, and that's the part of the picture that is closest to the viewer. Now, because these donuts are going to be in the foreground closest to the viewer, all the other donuts are going to get smaller and smaller the farther back we draw them in our picture. Let's draw an oval. I'm going to draw a pretty big oval about this size, but don't make it so gigantic that it takes over the entire table that we just made. They should be big enough so that we can fit 3 donuts at least in the foreground. All right, that's one oval. That's going to be one donut. Now, another thing we're going to do to create the illusion of space in our picture is have some of these donuts overlapping. That means that some of the donuts are going to be hiding a little bit behind the other donuts in the picture. So now I'm going to draw another oval that's about the same size, only it's going to be hidden a little bit behind this donut that we made over here. Now I need to make a third donut. I'm going to make sure that it's the same size. Once again, this middle donut that we have right here is going to overlap with the next one. And now let's draw another oval that disappears a bit behind that donut we made before. They kind of look like rolls right now. If you want to make it look like there are other donuts that are disappearing off each side of the paper, you can. I might make some lines that show donuts that are going off the edge of the paper. Now we are going to draw the ovals that will become the donuts that are in the background. Now, since it's not going to be in the foreground, these donuts are going to be in the middle ground. Should they be bigger or smaller? They should be smaller because they're getting farther back away from the viewer. So don't draw them so high up here because we're going to make our tinier donuts close, if not on, the horizon line. So let's draw a slightly smaller donut. We don't want it to be so tiny that it looks like a little pea next to this huge roll that we have right here. Let's draw an oval that's maybe half the size of the ovals that we just made in the foreground and put them in the middle ground. All right, that seems like a good size. Now I'm going to create more ovals that are the same size. You can use your fingers or a ruler or anything else to make sure that you make them all the same size in the middle ground. Let's create another line of overlapping ovals like we did in the foreground. Now I need to create the donuts that are going to be lined up on the horizon line of my table. Now, because these ovals are maybe 2/3 this size, I'm going to try to make these ovals about the same 2/3. Remember, you don't want it to look like they're getting way smaller than they were just earlier. Seat gate. There you go. Side of this is how big I want to be, and I'm going to make it go above the horizon line. If you want the edge of your table to be visible, that's fine, but for my picture, I just want the focus to be on the donuts that I'm going to make out of these ovals. All right, I've decided how big I want these ones in the back to be. Now I've decided how big I want these ovals to be that are sitting on the horizon line, and these are going to be the smallest. Now, just as we did with the middle ground and the foreground, let's make a line of overlapping ovals that will become our donuts. Now we have the overall shape and size of our donuts drawn out, but now we need to make them look like donuts, because honestly it just looks like a string of jelly beans. So let's start with these donuts. Now let's draw a curved line that looks like a smile, but remember that it should disappear behind that donut that's in front of the one that you're drawing on. Notice that I did not draw this smile line too close to the bottom, because this line is going to show where the side of the donut is. This is the part that's not frosted normally, and where you can see what flavor it is, like vanilla or chocolate. So after we draw that, let's figure out where we want the hole in our donut to be. After I've drawn that line that shows where I want the hole to be, I'm going to draw a little skinny oval in the middle. This is going to be that hole. After you draw that hole, you are going to draw a little rainbow line that goes inside. All right, there we go. Now this is going to show the frosting, and that little line that we drew right here, everything above is going to be without frosting. That's also going to show where the flavor is, like chocolate or vanilla. If you want, you can do some shading, but we'll talk about that later. Now do the same thing that after you've drawn that hole and you've drawn the side, let's think of some toppings that we can put on our donuts. For this one, I'm going to do a simple design for it. I'm going to draw a wavy line that goes just below the edge of my donut and erase all the other line that I drew before. There we go. Now I'm going to draw some teeny tiny skinny ovals to make sprinkles. There's my first donut. Let's do something a little different for the next donut. Once again, I'm going to draw the side of the donut and the hole in the middle. Now I'm going to draw that wavy line to show where it's dripping down the sides. For this one, I'm going to create a little bit of white frosting that is drizzled over the top of my donut. To do that, I am first going to draw a wavy line that is not so close, but it's going to be kind of spaced out. I'm going to draw a wavy line that goes over, across, and over. Oop, skips over that hole, comes over, whoop, skips over that hole again, comes across, and there we go. It doesn't really look like a drizzle of white frosting, does it? No, that's because I just drew one line. I'm going to draw another line that goes really close, running parallel to that first line I did. That means it goes right next to it, but never crosses over. All right, now I've got that drizzle. It looks delicious. Now let's think of something else we can do for our donuts. I'm going to draw the side again. Now this donut is not going to have a hole in it, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark where the middle of the donut should be, and I'm going to draw a spiral line. This line is going to come around again, and then stop right in the middle. So there we go. It's one of those cinnamon donuts that has that beautiful, elegant spiral with that deep, rich brown line through the middle. And one other thing I'm going to try doing for this one that I'm not saying you all have to do, but I'm going to draw a bite that was taken out of this. First thing I'm going to do is draw a little rainbow line right where I want that bite to be. It's going to come up and come back down. Then I'm going to draw two straight lines that come up from it. If you think that these lines should be curved instead of so straight, that's fine. Then I'm going to draw another rainbow line on top of that. There you go. I'm going to erase that line down here and erase the lines inside. If you want that bite to look a little more realistic and not so perfect, like someone just cut out a piece of a peppermint, what I'm going to do is go over these lines I drew with my pencil and make those straight lines wavy, the way they would be if it was teeth that had just taken a bite out of this donut. If you want to add some filling, you can make a squiggly line right here that shows where that filling is in that donut. And that would be yummy. And you can draw some little crumbs that look kind of like funky, bumpy circles to make crumbs. Now, these are just a few things that you can do to make some yummy looking donuts. What you're going to do is draw the other ovals to look like donuts. These are just a few of the styles that you can do, like the cinnamon donut without a hole in the middle but has jelly right there where you see that bite taken out of it. You can also do that donut with the drizzle or with the sprinkles, and you can even draw bites that are being taken out of these donuts also. Get creative and then don't stop until you have drawn in every oval. Now I'm going to show you how to make them look more three-dimensional by shading. Now, we want to make it look like there's a light shining on them from where we are sitting right now. So what I'm going to do is create shadows that blend on either side of each donut. That might be a little difficult since one side of each donut is hidden by the one next to it, but I'm going to show you how to shade the sides. For this donut right here in the middle, I am going to take my pencil and make a really dark shadow that just covers this entire side. Now keep in mind, I'm not putting a shadow underneath. It's just going to be on the side of my donut. Make it dark, but then as I work my way towards the middle of my donut, I'm going to color a little more lightly. So the black in my pencil starts to look a little more gray. Color more lightly, and then stop just as you're about to color blank. I'm going to do this on the top also. Press more lightly, and then stop. One thing that you can do if you want to blend it and make it look a little more natural, you can take your finger and rub it towards the middle. So then you'll see those scribbles a little less. After you're done with that, if you want to redraw some of the lines for the details that you put in your donut, you absolutely can. Ooh, another thing that I might also do is add some shadows inside the hole right here. I'm going to press lightly right here inside that hole in my donut, and then press more lightly, and then stop right in the middle. I'm going to rub that a little bit too. If any of the pencil that you were coloring gets outside the lines and escapes outside your donut, you can just erase it. Now, if you are using colored pencils and you don't want to create the shadows with this, you can create the shadows using whatever color you want on your donuts. For example, if this was going to be a chocolate donut, you can just take your brown chocolate colored pencil, press hardest on the side so that you have a really rich dark brown, but then gradually press more lightly, and then stop before you get to the middle. Now that is how you're going to make it look a little more three-dimensional. Now let's shade every single one of our donuts. The last detail we have to add to our pictures is the cast shadow on each donut. Now the cast shadow, it's the outline of the shadow that we see on the table. Remember what the cast shadow is? I also drew this in my 3D cake drawing tutorial. The cast shadow is the shape that is cast on the table. Now for the cast shadow, it's not going to be right in the middle. Since the light is shining from somewhere over here on the top right side of our paper, that means the cast shadow is going to be cast towards the bottom left side of each donut. So I'm going to draw a little oval that seems to be curving in that direction towards this corner of the paper for this donut, and for that one, and for that one, and for that one. I kind of made that donut floating a bit. Whatever you do, do not make any of these shadows overlap with the other donuts. They should be coming out from underneath them. After you're done drawing the outline for each cast shadow, which should look like half of an oval that's kind of tilting towards this corner of the paper, then color in the cast shadows. Great job, everybody. If you are new to this channel, please click subscribe below so you can get notified whenever there's a new video on Art with Andrea. If you want to say what you liked about this video or say what you think I should draw next, leave a comment below. And above all else, everybody, stay creative, have a good day, and I'll see you all next time.